The scientists and the public are very concerned by the growing numbers, and we've got a government that's hinting at further restrictions, but it's more concerned and tied up with party management at the moment than it is with public health. And I think what we want, what the public want, is a Prime Minister with a plan and with a grip. And the question on my lips, and I think the public lips this morning, is where is the Prime Minister?
And so what are you calling for? What are Labour calling for?
Well, we've made it clear to the government that we stand ready to support further measures if necessary. I made that clear to the Prime Minister last week. I'll make it clear again today, but it's for the Prime Minister to come up with a plan with support for schools, for businesses, etc. So the ball's in his court, but where is he? And I think this obsession with party management rather than public health is the wrong priority at the wrong time.
So you'll support new measures if necessary. What is that? Is that a possibility of a circuit break, lockdown? Would Labour be supportive of those measures?
Well, we'll look at what the government puts forward, but the government's got to come up with a plan, because whatever the measures are, there needs to be economic support for businesses, etc. We need to know there's real clarity that we can get our schools open when the new term starts. So there are our priorities. But we say to the government, get on with the job, bring forward that plan. We will look at it, and just as we've done throughout the pandemic, just as we did with our votes last week, we will support it if it's the right plan in the public interest.
Cases are rising. We're seeing each passing day more cases than before. Has the government been too slow on this?
Well, look, throughout the pandemic, my strong feeling is that the government has been too slow. But here we are with a variant that everybody's very, very concerned about. And what I want to see is a government, a Prime Minister, that gets a grip and puts a plan forward that hopefully we can all get behind. But where is he? There's a vacuum of leadership at the moment. The infighting is going on in the Tory party, when the focus should really be on the public interest and public health.
We've got Christmas and New Year coming up. So if you were Prime Minister, what kind of restrictions would you put in place? Would you put any in place? Are you happy with families meeting in large groups over Christmas?
Well, I would be getting my cabinet together. I would be having a Cobra meeting, which I would attend with all four nations, to come up with a strong plan, including the necessary support. Now, we don't have access to all the information that the Prime Minister and the government have got. They've got that information. I think people are crying out for some leadership here to say to the Prime Minister, where are you? Come up with a plan. Don't hint at restrictions. Come up with a plan. Let us see what the support is. And we, the opposition, say, as we've said before, if it's a plan that we think is right and in the public interest, we will support it. I've already made that clear to the Prime Minister. I'll make it clear again today.
So just to be clear, Christmas is this week. You are content with the restrictions that are in place at the moment going into Christmas?
I want the Prime Minister to come forward with his plan, with the necessary support, tell the public what it is, and then if we think it's the right plan, we will support it. At the moment, my frustration, and it's the frustration I think of many, many people, is the Prime Minister completely absent, not attending meetings, not being out there, hasn't got a grip, hasn't got a plan. And public health has to come first, not party management.
Do you have a plan? You say the Prime Minister doesn't have a plan. Do you have a plan?
Well, we're very concerned about the numbers. We have discussed it with the medical and scientific advisors, but of course we don't have access to all of the information about what support could go in. So it really is the job of the government to come up with a plan. We, the opposition, have said we'll be responsible, notwithstanding with the opposition. If it is the right plan, we will support it, just as we did last week. We wouldn't even have the Plan B restrictions if the Labour Party hadn't acted in the public interest. I will continue to act in the public interest, but we do need a Prime Minister who is present, who has got a grip and got a plan.
Just one other question on this photograph that has come out of, from Downing Street, of the Prime Minister and some staff socialising in what is reported to be May last year. What are your thoughts on that? Well,
look, everybody will have looked at that photograph. And to suggest that that is a work meeting is a bit of a stretch by anybody's analysis. So I think there are very serious questions to be answered. But just look at the photo and ask yourself, is that a work meeting going on, or is that a social event? And I think the answer is pretty obvious.
You didn't have any meetings like that, any work meetings or events like that May last year?
Look, I look forward to the day when I'm meeting in the back garden of Downing Street. But no, the Labour Party and the vast majority of the public were complying with the rules. And, all joking apart, during that period, there were funerals of people where very few people could go and mourn those that had tragically died. You know, that's the contrast. That picture, which, as I say, is a real stretch to pretend that that's a work meeting, versus and up against pictures of those who have lost someone and not been able even to go to the funeral.